Hello everyone, my name is Mustafa Mohamed Bochwe and we are continuing the series. So as we all know, if we want to fetch, for instance, a single item, we need to pass in, for instance, the ID, okay, which is the primary key. So we're actually going to create a second function, okay. So pass the exempt and I will call this function def, for instance, reporter retrieve update destroy. They'll pass the request in there. Sorry. And then we are going to check, okay, if it's a get request, okay. But first and foremost, we also need to pass the primary key in here like this, okay. And I'm going to also import HTTP 404, okay, from Django.http module, okay. So I'll first write a simple function, okay. I'm going to call this def get object. I'll pass the primary key in there. And all that we are going to do is we'll do try and I will return reporter objects and I will get the primary key. Okay, I'll explain this in a second. Okay, just hold on. And then except if it does not exist, we want to raise the HTTP 404. Okay, so if for instance you are coming from the SQL background, you are used to, for instance, typing something like this. Select, for instance, everything from the table name, okay, where, for instance, the ID is equal to something, okay. So this is exactly what we are doing. So we are saying, for instance, select everything from the table name where the ID, which is the primary key, is equal to the primary key that we are passing in here. That's what we are doing. That is all this is saying. Select everything from the the database where the ID is equal to what? The primary key. Okay, so that's what this is doing. Now we'll check the request type. So if the request method is, for instance, get, this time around I'm going to start with get. If your request method is equal to get, they want to do something, right? So we'll say reporter, for instance, is equal to get object, and I'll pass the primary key in there. And then what we can actually do is we can actually say object, for instance, object is equal to module to dictionary reporter, and then we'll return JSON response because this is a single item, so you can just pass object over there just like that. Okay, so if we save this, we have to also include this inside our URL. So if we come here, let's do comma and then we'll do path, and then we'll do the same thing. So reporter, and this is going to be retrieve update destroy. Okay, but in here we also want to what, take in something. So we want to take in an int, which is the primary key, like this. So we do this, we save this, And now if I go back and then for instance I pass a 1 over here and I send, I'll get the first item. If I send the second one, which is 2, I get the second item. If I send the next one, which is 3, I get the third item. If I send 4, which we don't have an item of ID 4, we get this error, not found. Okay, so we raise that error. So that is what this is doing. This raise error is doing. Okay, raised 4, 4. Okay, so we are done with the first thing. The next thing that we also want to look at is how we can what? Update. Okay, so instead of me quickly going about the update, let's look at how we can handle the delete request. Okay, let's handle the delete request, and then in the next tutorial we'll look at how we can actually update. Okay, so we can come down and say elif, else if the request method is for instance delete. Okay, all that we want to do is we just want to do the reporter, pass the primary key, and then the reporter, then we'll call the delete on it, and then for instance we return JSON, maybe an empty object, and then the status will be for instance 404 not found. Okay, so let's save this. So now if we head back and then we change this to a how do you call it, a delete, and it will pass the attribute 2, because first and foremost let's get the item for 2. This actually returns the object or the reporter with the word, the invalid word email. So for instance we want to delete this from the database, so we'll pass the delete method and it will send, and then we get 404. So now if I make a get request for everything in there, realize I will actually get the item for the 1 and then the 3. The 2 is gone. Okay, so we're actually making good progress. Okay, so in the next tutorial we'll look at how we can handle a put request and a post request to actually update the information that we have inside our database. So thank you for watching this tutorial, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.